Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jeevanam Kavibhireeditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadaadatam Bhuvi Grinanti Ye Bhurida Janaha. Sri Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the Gospel of Ramakrishna. We are discussing that first profound statement made by Sri Ramakrishna during the first visit of M, recorded in the Gospel, which is Shandha Gayatri te loy hai, Gayatri abar Onkare loy hai. Sandhya merges into Gayatri, and Gayatri again merges into Om. Sandhya, the twilight devotions, when night passes into day and day passes into night. Midday is the time when you can't see your own shadow. These are the three moments at which the mind is specially tuned to the cosmic. It's called Trisandhya, 3 times devotion. Gayatri is a sacred mantra in the Vedas, which is the essence of the Sandhya Vandana. If all the rituals of Sandhya Vandana are gone through, your body, your mind, your inner organ, Antakarana gets pure, they get purified, and you become fit to invoke the Gayatri Devi in your heart. Gayatri Devi, Brahma Shakti, is called Gayatri in the morning, Pratah Sandhya, Savitri at noon, Madhyana, and Saraswati in the evening, Sayam Sandhya. Gayatri Mavahayami, Savitri Mavahayami, Saraswati Mavahayami. I invoke the Gayatri in the morning, I invoke Savitri at noon, I invoke Saraswati in the evening. And the meaning of the Gayatri mantra is beautifully paraphrased by 2 ancient authorities in the form of the following verses. Yo devas savita asmakam dhiyo dharmadi gocharaha prerayet tasya yad bhargaha tad varenyam upasmahe yad brahma nityam hridi sannivishtam mam prerayat tishthati nassu buddhihi bhargastadakhyam bhajaniyam dhyayama nityam ravi mandalastham. Yo Devaha, that supreme Devata, Savita. The Gayatri mantra talks about the Savitra. Savitur Varenyam Bhargaha. Savitra is the original word, Pratipadikam. And 6th case ending, singular, Shashti Ekavachana, is Savituh. Of that Savita, of that sun, which is the symbol of the Supreme Being, effulgent. Brahman is self-effulgent, Swayam Prakasha Jyoti, and the sun which we see every day, luminous, effulgent, resplendent, giving so much of light and heat to the earth, can be considered to be a symbol of the Supreme Brahman. Swayam Prakasha Jyoti. Varenyam Bhargaha, this Bharga, the light. Varenyam, adorable, worshipable. The Supreme Light which is worshipped, adored every day, Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargaha. Devasya, Deva is a shining one. Diva Dhatu means to shine. Self-luminous. Devasya Dhimahi, I meditate. I meditate on the self-luminosity, Swayam Prakasha Jyoti of the Supreme Being, which is symbolized by the sun Savita. May that Supreme Sun, effulgent being, Deva, illumine my intellect, kindle my higher intuitive intelligence called Dhi. It's in plural, Dhiyaha, Naha. Naha Asmakam Dhiyaha. Dhi is a very, very special faculty which is called the Vijnanamaya. The 5-layered human personality which is discussed in the Upanishad is an extremely important conception of a human being developed by the rishis. It is not a conception, it is a realization. A human being consists of 5 layers. The Annamaya, the physical, Pranamaya, the vital, Manomaya, the mental, psychological, Vijnanamaya, which is intuitive, and Anandamaya, which is blissful. So Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, the 5 layers of a human being. As you move from one layer to another, you are entering deeper into spiritual life. We are sadhakas. We are spiritual aspirants. We are not doing this class in the Kathamrita just for intellectual pleasure or for the feel-good factor. But we are doing this study of this great scripture, Ramakrishna Kathamrita, the modern gospel, like the Bible of the Christians, the Gospels. This is the modern Veda, the modern Upanishad, the Ramakrishna Upanishad. Every word of it is so full of meaning, coming from the depths of the realization of the Yugavatara, Sri Ramakrishna. So, as sadhakas, we want to go deep into every word, every syllable, every statement of this great book and discover for ourselves, explore the inner realm of the spirit. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, the Vedantic paradigm for the 5-layered human personality can be compared to the Shat Chakra of the Tantras, the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipuraka, Anahata, Vishuddha, Agya, the 6 chakras. Roughly, they can be compared as follows. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, these are comparable to the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana and Manipura. The Anahata is the Vijnanamaya. Vishuddha and Agya are the Anandamaya. Vishuddha is stationed between the Vijnanamaya and the Anandamaya, and Agya, the Anandamaya, is the state of Saguna Brahman. Brahman with form, Brahman with gunas. What you call Ishvara. Beyond that is the Sahasrara, which is the seat of Nirguna Brahman, which is not counted as one of the chakras, Shat chakras. Beyond the 6 chakras is the place of Nirguna Brahman. Just like beyond the 5 Atmas, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, is the state of Nirguna Brahman. These can be compared in some sense to the Sapta Lokas of the Vedas. Bhu, Bhurubhuva Swa Mahajanaha Tapaha Satyam. The Satyaloka, the Hiranyagarbha Loka, is comparable to the Agya Chakra or the Anandamaya. So we will display a chart sometime showing the parallel between these two so that we can have a clear understanding of the conceptions in Vedanta, in Tantra, and in the Vedas. So the Vijnanamaya Atma corresponds to the heart, which is the place of the Jivatman. The Tantra will call it the Anahata. Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura. Then before you go to the Agya, you have the Anahata. When the Kundalini reaches the Anahata, Sri Ramakrishna says the heart center, the Hrid Chakra, then the sadhaka sees a mysterious light, an uncreated mysterious light, and he exclaims, "Oh, what is this? What is this? Eki, Eki." Simultaneously with that, before or after, he hears an uncreated, unstruck sound called the Anahata. Ahata means striking, Anahata, unstruck. No striking takes place. There is no beginning or end of this sound, and therefore it is eternal and shashvata. This eternal sound is constantly rising in the Anahata. This is called the Anahata Dhvani, unstruck sound, which is Om. That is why Sri Ramakrishna says Gayatri merges into Om. You come to the heart center, Vijnanamaya, the Anahata Chakra, and you are blessed with the experience of the Anahata Dhvani, unstruck sound, Om, and the vision of an uncreated, mysterious light of consciousness. The Upanishad talks about it, the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the Yajnavalkya Samvada with Janaka, Jyotir Brahmana, Katama Atmeti. What is this Atman? Atma Jyoti. The question is raised, what is the light by which we function? We function by the light of the sun during day. When the sun sets, it is the moonlight. When the sun sets and the moon also sets, it is the Agni, the fire. When the sun has set and the moon has set and the fire is extinguished, it is the Vak, the speech which acts as light. And when the sun has set and the moon has set and the fire is extinguished and speech is hushed, what is the light by which man functions and moves around? Then the answer given in the Brihadaranyaka, Atma Jyoti. Astamita aditye yajnavalkyas chandramasyastamite shantegno shantayam vachi kim jyoti revayam purushaha. When the answer is Atma Jyoti, he asks, Katama Atmeti. What is this Atman? The answer given so beautifully, simply, poetically. Yoyam Vijnanamayah Praneshu Hridyantar Jyotif Purusha Sasubho Sannubho Lokavanu Sancharati Dhyayate Valelayate Va Dhyayati Iva Lelayati Iva. The favorite phrases of Shankara. Advaita Vedanta can be just summarized in two letters, Iva, as if. In English, two simple words, as if. Nothing has actually happened, as if he is meditating, as if he is shaking. Dhyayati iva, lelayati iva. What is that? Vijnanamayah praneshu hridi antarjyotihi. The hridyantar jyoti, the inner light of consciousness. In the heart there is a mysterious light of consciousness, which is described in the Yoga Sutra by Patanjali as Prajna Aloka. Prajna Aloka. Aloka is light. Prajna is the higher intuitive intelligence. The higher intelligence of intuition is called Prajna. This is also called the Dhi in the Gayatri Mantra. Medha in the Vedas, in the Medha Suktam. When this Dhi or the Medha is kindled, you're opening up to a world of light of consciousness. All worldliness ceases. You rise above the Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Guhyalinga Nabhi, as Ramakrishna says. Sensual pleasures drop away. Eating and drinking and gossiping and talking, socializing. All that goes away, and you awaken to a higher world of light of consciousness. This is called Medha. Then what happens to you? You become a Rishi. This is a very, very significant statement, because it is not that Rishis were there in the olden times and there can't be in future or today. You and I can become a Rishi. This is the testimony of the Vedas. Tvaya Jushta Rishir Bhavati Devi. Veda Suktam. Hey Devi, whoever is touched by you, whoever is blessed by you becomes a Rishi. Then what happens to you? You lose all interest in worldliness, worldly talk, worldly occupation, eating and drinking and socializing. You lose all interest in every activity in the outside world. Hey Devi, before you came to my heart, I was delighting in useless talk. Jushamana duruktaan brihadvadema vidathe suviraha. Jushamana, delighting, duruktaan, useless, profitless gossip about who did what, who did not do what, constantly criticizing everybody, constantly discussing most useless topics. O Devi, Medha Devi, after you have blessed me, come to my heart, what is the transformation I get? Brihadvadema. I will talk big. I will discuss huge, elevating things. Brahma means big. Brahma dhatu. Brihadvadema, I will talk huge, big, infinite things. I will never be enamored of the finite world. Brihadvadema, with whom will you discuss? Vidate Suviraha. Along with Suvira, along with the disciples, worthy disciples and worthy children and grandchildren, I will constantly discuss higher things. Even in the household, husband and wife and children will constantly be discussing spiritual things. That was India. Yajnavalkya was discussing the highest spiritual truths with the Raja, Janaka, in the court of Janaka. And he gave his teachings to his beloved wife, Maitreyi. He called the two wives, Maitreyi and Katyayani, and told them, you see, I am now going into the forest to meditate. I am taking up sannyasa, pravrajana it is called. So I will distribute all my wealth between you two. He was a very rich rishi because he maintained a huge Gurukula, nothing for himself. Whenever he wanted some cows, which was the wealth in those days, he used to go to Janaka. Janaka used to ask him, Sir, have you come here to discuss Brahman or do you want some cows? Then with humorously and with great humility, Yajnavalkya used to say, Ubhayam vai samrat, both my lord. In the debate in Janaka's court, it's so interesting in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Suddenly, Janaka got an idea to find out who is the greatest knower of the Vedas, Brahmishtha. Here Brahma means Veda. Who is the greatest knower of the Vedas? He called the best scholars of his region from far and wide and posed this question. You see, I have kept 1,000 cows, Sahasram Dadami, and in each of these horns of these cows, I have tied a huge amount of gold. Whoever amongst you is the greatest knower of the Vedas, Brahmishtha, can claim these 1,000 cows as gifts. Nobody dared get up and say, I am the greatest. Yajnavalkya quietly got up, did not claim to be the greatest, interesting, called his disciple Shamashrava, Oh Shamashrava, come on, take these cows home. That was the confidence. Then the big uproar in the court of Janaka. All the rishis assembled there were up in arms. Brahmishtosi, are you the greatest knower of the Vedas? You are the Brahmishtha? And very humorously, with great humility, Yajnavalkya bowed down and said, Namo vayam Brahmishtaya kurmaha gokama vayam. We bow down to the Brahmishta, the greatest knower of the Vedas, but I badly need those cows. Then a huge debate ensued. This is the remarkable country in which the greatest Brahmagyas assembled together the court of a king to discuss and debate on the highest spiritual truths. And the king was presiding over the entire conference of the rishis, enjoying every bit of it and giving gifts to the rishis. This was the country. Again it will be revived. Swami Vivekananda said, the kind of degeneration which we are witnessing now is only a passing phase. 1,000 years of slavery has completely broken our backbone, the spiritual and intellectual culture of India. Again there will be revival. Swamiji said, the infinite giant which is India is awakening from a deep slumber. The giant is awakening. Never is she going to sleep anymore. No power on earth can stop her anymore, for the infinite giant is awakening. That's why Vivekananda's prophecy. Once again in future, our parliaments will be full of rishis who will be discussing Brahman. The debate in the parliament will be on the highest spiritual truths, and the Upanishads and Brahman. Brahmavadino vadanti king karanam brahma kutasmajata jivamakena kvacha sampradishtha. Shetashvatara Upanishad. Brahmavadino vadanti, the great Brahmavadins are discussing. King karanam brahma kutasmada jata. What is the cause of this universe? Is it Brahman? Where did we come from? In which are we being sustained? And into which we ultimately go? What is the origin? What is the sustenance? What is the final dissolution? What is the meaning of life? So Brahmavadins coming together and discussing these great spiritual truths, along with their young disciples who are looking on and absorbing and learning, they will grow up and become rishis. The rishi parampara will go on. And remember, all of us belong to this great rishi parampara. The Gayatri mantra, seen by the Vishwamitra rishi and handed down to us. And to the rishi parampara is added Sri Ramakrishna, disciple of Totapuri in the Advaita Sampradaya, and innumerable kinds of sadhanas he performed in so many different sampradayas, in Tantra, in Vedanta, in Vaishnavism, in Christianity, in Islam. He handed that over to his Shakti, Sharada Devi, and the Nararishi, Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda, and his beloved son, Rakhal, Swami Brahmananda, and a host of other disciples, sannyasin and householder disciples. And that sampradaya is vibrant even to this day. And we, insignificant though we may be, belong to this great tradition of the Rishi Parampara. Never forget it. So Yajnavalkya says, Yoyam Vijnanamayaha Praneshu Hridi Antarjyotihi. This is the Medha, the Prajna, the Dhi, which is called the Buddhi Guha, Dahara Guha, Dahara Akasha, Chidakasha, Hridaya Akasha, the luminosity within which completely dispels all darkness. Adityavarnam tamasav parastat. Like the light of the sun. Even this light is only a borrowed light of the infinite light of the self. The supreme self, the Paramatman. So the supreme light is called the light of all lights. Jyotisham Jyotihi. Jyotira Jyoti Ujjvala Hridikandara Tumitama Bhanjanaha. Prabhu Tumitama Bhanjanaha. Swami Vivekananda sang in the famous Aratrika hymn to Sri Ramakrishna. Jyotira Jyoti, you are the light of lights. Ujjvala Hridikandara. Illumining the darkest recesses of my heart. And you are Tamabhanjana. You destroy all darkness. Everything in the world functions because of that Jyoti. Tat Shubhram Jyotisham Jyotihi. Mundakopanishad. Natatra Suryo Bhati na Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kuto Yamagnihi Tameva Bhantam Anubhati Sarvam Tasya Bhasa Sarvamidam Vibhati. Mundakopanishad and also Kathopanishad. There the sun shines not the moon, not the stars. What to speak of this ordinary fire? He is shining, everything shines. By his light, everything becomes lighted. That is the light of the Atman that we are. That's our real nature, the shining light. And the prayer in the Gayatri Mantra is to awaken that light of consciousness. So this summary in Sanskrit verse form, Yo Devaha Savita Asmakam Dhiyaha Naha Asmakam, our Dhiyaha, the Dhis, the Prajna, collectively, the higher intelligence, Prerayet. Prachodayat is the word used. Prerayet, he kindles, he awakens. Yad bhargaha tad varenyam upasmahe. Yad bhargaha, the supreme light, tad varenyam upasmahe, we worship. Yad brahma nityam hridisannivishtam. The Nitya Brahma, eternally existing Brahma, and it is in the heart. Sarvasya jaham hridisannivishtam mattasmritirjnanam apohanam cha vedaischa sarvair ahameva vetta vedanta vid veda videha chaham. Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya jaham hridisannivishto mattasmritirjnanam apohanam cha. Ishvaras sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Bhagavad Gita. The Ishvara sits in the heart of everybody. That Brahman, Nityam, always, eternally, Hridi Sannivishtam, resides in the heart. Mam Prerayet. Let him kindle me. Dhiyo yo nav prachodayat. Tanno hamsa prachodayat. From the Mahanarayana Upanishad, Swami Vivekananda made this the motto of the Ramakrishna Math and the Ramakrishna Mission. Mam prerayet. Bharga tadakyam bhajaniyam. That Bharga, that supreme light, bhajaniyam, worthy of great worship, etad dhyayama. We meditate on the Supreme Brahman. What is that? Nityam, eternally existing. Ravi Mandalastham. This is the orb of the sun. The sun is the symbol of Hiranyagarbha or Ishvara. Dhyayas sada savitra mandala madhyavarti narayana sarasijasana sannivishta. The dhyana mantra of the Surya Devata. When you worship Surya, this is the mantra we chant. Savitra mandala madhyavarti. There is a Hiranyagarbha, there is a Ishvara, there is Saguna Brahman, luminous entity. This is the essence of the Gayatri Mantra. And what does the Gayatri Mantra do? Om tat savitur varenyam bhargo devasya dhimahi dhyo yo na prachodayat. Om. Om is chanted at the beginning and also at the end. It's called Samputita. Begin with Om and end with Om. What happens when you chant this Om, this Gayatri Mantra, and try to awaken the Dhi? Your Medha is awakened. The Mahanarayana Upanishad has a wonderful hymn to Medha, who is considered as a Devi, Brahma Shakti, Saraswati, Gayatri, Savitri, Saraswati, luminous, who is responsible for awakening your higher intelligence. We can briefly discuss this Medha Suktam, which is also extremely important because this is the purpose of the Gayatri Mantra. Sandhya merges into the Gayatri, and when the Sandhya, all the rituals which are necessary to purify your mind and the body and the senses, Gayatri is invoked in your heart. Gayatri mavahayami Savitrim avahayami, Saraswatim avahayami. I invoke Gayatri, invoke Savitri, I invoke Saraswati into my heart. Then the Medha is awakened. This sukta, this hymn, is devoted to this Medha Devi. We can briefly discuss this Medha Suktam, which is a very, very important part of this Mahanarayana Upanishad. This is chanted just before an aspirant takes to sannyasa. The sannyasa mantras give you the identity formula of the individual self with the Supreme Self. Atma Brahma Aikya Mantra, the Mahavakya. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, Ayam Atma Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. From the four Vedas, the four great Mahavakyas, great sayings as they are called, great utterances. Just before that, first your dhi should have been awakened before you go to sannyasa. When you awaken the dhi, blessed by the Medha Devi, you first realize yourself as the Jiva Atman, different from the body and the mind complex. Now when I say I identify myself with the body, with the senses, with the mind, with the intellect. But beyond the body and the mind and the intellect and the senses, there is the luminous self of the Jiva Atman. And to awaken my consciousness to the understanding of this Jiva Atman, the realization of this Jiva Atman, I take the help of the Gayatri Mantra. And the Medha Devi, which is just at the threshold of the Hiranyagarbha, the cosmic world of light, Saguna Brahman, is described very poetically in this Medha Suktam. We'll briefly discuss it because unless we understand the idea of the Medha, then we cannot understand how Gayatri merges into Om, which is the realm of the Paramatman, the Supreme Brahman. From the Saguna Brahman, we'll pass on to the Nirguna Brahman. Om represents both the Saguna and the Nirguna, both the Apara Brahman and the Para Brahman. Tatte padam sangrahena bravimi omityetat etadjhevaksharam brahma etadjhevaksharam param etadjhevaksharam gyatva yo yadicchati tasya tat. Kathopanishad. This Om represents the Parabrahman, the Om represents the Aparabrahman. Having realized the Om as symbolizing or describing, indicating the Para and Aparabrahma, the Supreme Being, you get merged in the Supreme. Omkara can be considered a Vachaka or a Pratika. Bhagavan Bhashyakara Shankaracharya says, it is the Pratika as a symbol, or it could be a Vachaka, a mantra by chanting which you can get the Vachya, that which is to be attained through the mantra. Vachaka, Vachya means Nama and Nami. Abhidhana and Abhidheya. That which is being designated is Abhidheya. The designation is called Abhidhana. Om is the Vachaka and Brahman is the Vachya. Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. This is a sutra in the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali. The Medha Suktam in the Mahanarayana Upanishad goes like this. I will chant verse by verse. and give you a simple meaning based upon the Shayana's commentary, the Shayana Bhashya, the Veda Bhashyakara. And Swami Vimalanandaji, of very revered memory, one of our illustrious monks of the Ramakrishna order, wrote this remarkable book which is published by Ramakrishna Mat Chennai, in which he gives a simple Sanskrit commentary based on the Shayana Bhashya and translates the entire thing in very simple mellifluous English. Om Medha Devi Jushamana na Agad Vishwachi Bhadra Sumanasyamana Tvaya Jushta Jushamana Duruktaan Brahadvadema Vidathe Suvira Aha. The first verse in Medha Suktam. Vishwachi, I am reading the Sanskrit simple meaning based on Shayana's commentary as given by Swami Vimalanandaji. Vishwachi Sarva Vedya Avagahana Kshamaha. Vishwachi Sumanasyamana. Vishwachi means Sarva Vedya, all that is to be known, all that is to be realized. Avagahana, delving deep, realizing, penetrating. Kshamaha, capable. That all penetrating goddess, capable of going deep into the meaning of the scriptures, of the Vedas. Bhadra, Kalyana Hetuhu, very auspicious, beneficial, does only good to us, spiritual good, elevation. Sumanasyamana, Sanugraha Manoyukta, Anugraha Manoyukta, Anugraha, blessing. She is so benign, full of bliss and joy and great compassion. Jushamana Priyamana Sati. He is extremely pleased with the sadhaka, which are we, and being pleased with us, intending to show us compassion and blessing, beneficial, favorably disposed, that Devi, Medha Devi, Naha Asman Agat Yetu Agachatu. That Medha Devi, which is the Gayatri, Savitri, Saraswati, let that Medha Devi, that great goddess Brahma Shakti, come to me, come to us, full of joy, beneficial, smiling, in a mood of benediction, extremely pleased with us. He Devi, Tvadagamanath Purvam, Duruktan, Purushartha Anupayogina Dushtan Shabdan Jushamanaha Tataf Param Agataya Tvaya Jushtaha Sevitaha Vayam Vidathe Jnana Prakashe Sati Suviraha Shobhana Putra Sishyadi Yukta Santaha Brihad Sarva Vaktra Atishayena Uchritam Brahmatattvam Vaditum Shaktaha Bhuyasma. Tvadagamanath Purvam, O Medha Devi, before you came into my heart. When did Medha Devi come into our heart? When the Gayatri is invoked, Avahayami, Gayatri Mavahayami, Savitri Mavahayami, Saraswati Mavahayami. Then beneficially, happily, in a mood of great benediction, this Medha Devi comes and takes a seat in our heart. Tadagamanat Purvam, before you came to me, what was I doing? What all of us are doing? Duruktan. We were called Dushtan Shabdan, useless, profitless talk. How much of useless talk we do, how much of useless thoughts we think, how much of useless Facebook postings and debates and discussions, social media, Twitter, tweet, retweet. Whole life is wasted in tweeting and retweeting. What do we exactly gain by this? Confusion, rancor. We want to connect with everybody, social connect. Let those who are interested do it. Those who want dharma, artha, kama, let them do it. But we are mumukshus. We are striving for liberation. We don't want to get caught in this worldly meshes, network of this world. So, duruktan, dushtan, shabdan, jushamana. Jushamana, delighting, happily getting caught on the network of words which are absolutely useless. Criticizing everybody, discussing everybody, paracharcha and paraninda. What are they? A beautiful statement is made here, perhaps based on Shayanacharya. Purushartha anupayoginaha. Purushartha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, anupayoginaha. Not useful at all for any purushartha. At least let it be useful for something. Let it be useful for kama, let it be useful for artha. Even wealth you discuss. Even kama you discuss, no harm. That's also a purushartha. If it is a dharma and moksha, it is very elevating. But what we normally discuss in the world has no relevance to any of the purusharthas. How much time we waste in idle gossip. Swami Brahmanandaji used to warn the sadhakas specifically, point blank, against wasting time in gossip. Now, since we can't get people near us thanks to this COVID-19 pandemic, stay at home, keep safe, lockdown and so on, we spend hours talking over our telephone, Facebook, constantly engaged in the social media, connecting with everybody, internet. How much time is lost? Just think of that. All that energy can be conserved to think about great things. Tatapparam agataya tvaya. Before you came to me, I was wasting my time in all kinds of useless, profitless talk and discussion and thoughts and connections. Tvaya agataya, after you have come to me, jushtaha sevita vayam, after you have been worshipped by us, invoked in our hearts, and you have so graciously blessed us by occupying a seat in my heart. Vidate jnana prakashe sati. When jnana prakasha has come to me, illumine the heart. A mysterious, uncreated light I see in my heart, which is the light of the Atman. Jnana prakashe sati suviraha. Shobhana putra sishyadi yuktaha santaha. Surrounded by not profitless gossip mongering friends in the social media, but Shobhana putra sishyadi yuktaha. Suviraha. My children and grandchildren and friends who are Shobhana, elevated, graceful, blessed, spiritual seekers, or there can be Sishyadi, there can be disciples, my grand disciples. I am surrounded by seekers of God, surrounded by people who are serious about spiritual life, who are extremely motivated about attaining something which is highly elevating. They want to see the light of consciousness in their hearts. Even now, they have become tired of the external world. Surrounded by such noble souls, Brihad Vadema, Brihad Sarva Vaktratishayena Uchratam Brahmadattvam Vaditum Shaktaha Bhuyasma. Let us be empowered, capable of discussing, expressing the supreme truth, the Brahma Tattva, the huge, big Brahma, vast, infinite. Let us delight in talking about Brahman. Medha is the power of intelligence, which is not to be confused with the intellect of the Manomaya. This is the Vijnanamaya Atma. This is the power of intuitive higher intelligence. Medha is praised as the rays of the sun spreading everywhere, which is the Savitur Varenyam Bhargaha. Sages like Vasishtha have praised this Medha Devi and stressed the necessity of propitiating Medha. According to Rigvedhana, the baby is suckled or fed with a pap, repeating the Shraddha and the Medha mantras, so that he may have these qualities when he grows up as an adult. Look at the Indian great tradition. A child is born, and when the child is in the mother's womb, for 10 months the mother is praying, meditating, thinking of God, constantly engaged in spiritual pursuit, chanting, stotras, fasting, so that the child in the womb may get great samskaras. The prenatal influence. Psychologists and those who deal with childbirth have clearly acknowledged the prenatal influence. Even before the child is born, in the womb, the child acquires so many influences of the mother. That's why he said, in the olden days, the elderly women used to tell the young girls in a family way, pregnant women, be careful, think of God, meditate, chant, think elevating thoughts, fast on special days. You are now going to be a creatrix, Srishtikartri. You are going to occupy a position equal to God who creates. A mother is a creatrix, Srishtikartri. That's why motherhood is so highly revered in India. Oh mother, you have created a human being. That's the power of God, the creative power of God flowing through a woman to create in her womb a child which should be a boon to society. May that child acquire holy, great samskaras. So what does the mother do? Rigvidhana 4.96-97. It is mentioned that when he suckles the baby, when he feeds the baby with milk, breastfeeding the baby, the mother is chanting the Shraddha mantras and the Medha mantras. Look at the Indian tradition. The mother is feeding the baby, breastfeeding the baby, suckling it with milk from her own breast, and constantly chanting the Medha mantras and the Shraddha mantras, so that the child may acquire these divine qualities when he grows up into an adult. The power of intelligence called Medha, which can penetrate all objects of knowledge with the rays of the sun, must come to the aid of the Rishi for the acquisition, preservation, and instruction of the Vedas, as well as the proper performance of the acts of worship taught therein. The power of intelligence, the supreme intelligence, not the intellect, but the intuitive higher intelligence, is necessary for the acquisition, preservation, and the instruction of the Vedas, as well as the proper performance of the acts of worship taught in the Vedas. To be able to understand the meaning of the Vedic mantras, even in science, to be able to understand some of the subtle truths of science, be it physics or chemistry or bioscience or whatever, to penetrate into some of the secrets and explore, investigate, and to discover certain truths in science, you need a higher intuitive intelligence. Unless the Medha opens up, you can't exactly know the meaning of the subtle mantras. In the Taittiriya Upanishad 1.4.1.2, there is prayer for intelligence coupled with prosperity. This is a very, very interesting point. Medha, intelligence, should be coupled with prosperity, even worldly prosperity, wealth, health, children. Mahan bhavati prajaya pashubhir brahma varchasena mahan kirtya. What happens if you get this higher intelligence through which you realize the supreme truth? Not that you lose out in the world. You don't become a beggar. Mahan bhavati. He becomes great. By what? Prajaya pashubhir brahma varchasena. All his children become great. He is blessed with children, progeny. Pashu means wealth. Brahmavarchas, the light of Vedas. His face shines with a special glow of understanding of the truths of the Vedas. Mahan Kirtya, he gets Mahan Kirti. His fame, his Kirti, his Yasha spreads like the rays of the sun. So you don't lose out on anything. When you realize Brahman, you get everything in the world most automatically. As Sri Ramakrishna says, if you have zeros and zeros and zeros, it will be only zero. If you put one before that, all the zeros get great value. The more zeros you add after one, then the value goes up and up. The one is Brahman, the one is God, the one is spirituality. Acquire spirituality first, then go on adding zeros in the world, and every one of the zeros which you add, apparently useless and zero, they get great value when added with one. So the Indian tradition says, first acquire spirituality. Adhik balam, kshatra balam, brahmatejo balam balam. All the various bala, the kshatra bala, the buddhi bala, the bahubala, the power of the muscle and the power of intellect, all of them are useless in comparison with the Atma bala. Brahmatejo balam balam. The Brahmatejas is the supreme bala. So intelligence coupled with prosperity. For a prosperity without intelligence is dangerous. And intelligence without prosperity is ineffective. So look at the Vedic thinking. You have plenty of prosperity, but you have no intelligence. Higher spiritual truths have not been awakened. You will be a demon. You will become a devil. Swami Vivekananda once said, knowledge and power without wisdom and spirituality turns human beings into devils. That's what we are seeing now. You have plenty of knowledge, intellectual knowledge, and plenty of wealth and prosperity, but no higher intuitive spiritual wisdom, compassion in your heart, love for mankind. Then what are you? You are a devil. You are an intelligent, clever monkey, as Einstein once said. A person who is trained in the intellect, juggleries of the intellectual pursuit, without the heart being developed, without compassion being developed, without humane qualities being developed, is a trained ape or a monkey. He is like a machine which has been trained. Human beings should combine intelligence with prosperity, Mere prosperity, wealth, luxury, without spirituality, wisdom is dangerous. On the other hand, intelligence without prosperity is often ineffective. You have plenty of wisdom, but you don't have the wherewithal to translate it into action. That's why in ancient India, two great systems, the Kshatriya and the Brahma, Kshatriya Dharma and the Brahmanical Dharma, the Brahmanas and the Kshatriyas. The Brahmanas cultivating the higher spiritual wisdom, not Brahmanas by birth, Brahmanas who pursued the spiritual wisdom. Those on the path of Brahman, those are spiritual people, those are seekers of God, mumukshus or mukta purushas, vividishus, those who are desiring to know, or atmavid, atmagya, those who have known the Atman, combining with Kshatriya Dharma, Kshatriyas, the kings, those who had the money, the wealth, the power, combining together, society attained to great heights. The Brahmanas cultivated the spiritual wisdom, and the Kshatriyas with their power, the power of the Rajya, the kingdom, Raja Shakti, Kshatriya Shakti, they spread the spiritual wisdom among the subjects, among the people, and a great society was built. So this Medha Suktam, we will take it forward and discuss it in detail, because the Medha, the Prajna, is the same as the Dhi, which the Gayatri Mantra talks about. Om Niranjanam Nityamanantarupam Bhaktanukampa Dhrita Vigraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.